going on? I'm Natalie Melendez. It's that 2-6 Sound podcast. It's episode 5. I'm going to get right into it because we have a lot to unpack this episode. Our next guest, I met about a year ago. We met at a friend's show, and then I think it was a couple of days or weeks after we met up for coffee. And we talked for about 3 or 4 hours, just hours on hours of meaningful conversation. And I got to hear his incredible story, his inspirational story. And I'm really excited to be able to highlight this for you today. He is a singer, songwriter, a rapper and producer, and a dancer, and probably many more things that we don't even know yet. So we're going to figure that out today. Sarey Savy. Bitch! I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes.
Oh my God, let's just get right into it. So,
Shit.
how's your morning been so far?
It's been good. It's been good. Yeah, got up, showered, did my little routine, did little exercises.
Oh, you exercised today?
I've been trying to get more physically active, honestly.
Good for you.
Yeah.
What'd you do this morning?
I mean, so I like to go for a walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go for jogs. More recently, I've been trying to do like 30-minute jogs around the neighborhood in West Seattle. So that's what I did this morning, but I do it like 2 times a day. So
Oh, wow.
instead of just
Really?
once. Yeah, because I'm trying to speed up. Like, I'm really trying to get my overall health and wellness together, you know?
Yeah,
So I've
yeah.
been trying to prioritize that.
It can be hard to like put that into your schedule. Do you like run in the morning and then like later in the afternoon?
Yes. So usually before work, and then after work. So usually like, I want to say like 6 a.m. And
Oh my
then,
God.
yeah, and then I'll get, and I bus a lot now. I used to like do a lot of Uber. I used to like do a lot of carpooling. But the reason why I bus now is because it gives me an excuse to be physically active more often.
Yeah.
So it's a choice. It's a choice. And then, so like, I want to say like 5 or 6 p.m. So a good
Wow.
12 hours, 11 hours
Yeah.
after, I'll do it again.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And we were talking about that earlier, making sure we drink our water, even though we gotta
Right.
pee all the time.
It's a good thing though.
It is. All right. So let's just get right into it. So
Okay.
when it was funny because when we met for I think it was at that coffee shop like last year, you were wearing, I think it was like an I Heart White Center shirt. Something White
Was
Center
it?
on it. I think so.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It was like a black hoodie and it said Made in White
Yeah.
Center.
Yeah, that was what
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
And so that's where you grew up.
Yeah.
So can you kind of paint the picture of that? Like,
I mean, where do I guess, yeah, I mean, I lived in White Center for, I don't know how many years, as long as I can remember. And so, I mean, so, you know, my mother and father are from Cambodia, immigrated
Yeah.
here from Cambodia during the Khmer Rouge, so the Cambodian genocide.
oh my God.
And my family settled in White Center, and there's a huge like Cambodian population in White Center. There's also a lot of
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
at the time, before gentrification and all these things that started to happen in White Center, there were a lot of Cambodian markets, Cambodian restaurants, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And that's where my mom found refuge and community.
Wow.
And so when I went to school, all of the schools that I went to in White Center, there was always like a diverse population of people,
It's really
a
important.
lot of Cambodian people as well. So I felt right at home in White Center, and lived there for so many years, and I absolutely love it. You know, I know that in the past it's gotten kind of a not the best reputation, but I also think that you learn so much when you experience a lot of hardship growing up, you know, depending, and
Yeah.
it's different for everybody, you know, and I can only speak for my own experience, but growing up as a openly gay person in White Center is a difficult task when there's no one else who's really out,
Yeah.
you know?
Did that make you kind of grow up really quick?
Yeah, very, very quickly. You know, what's funny is I'm actually the youngest of 4.
You got a big family.
Yeah.
You do.
So I'm the youngest of 4, but you know, I grew up very quickly because of the fact of like, I just, from a very young age, I already knew what I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to do music. I knew that I wanted to get out of White Center and experience the world and different things. But also, my mom has a lot of different medical like conditions, and you know, her health is not the best, and so a lot of the times I would have to really, you know, like put my boots on, put
Help her
big
out.
boy pants on at a very young age and help take care of her. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that's like says a lot about the youngest. I feel like the youngest sibling always has to grow up the quickest. I feel like
Yeah.
in a lot of, at least in my family, it's been like that too.
Yeah.
Where like my little brother, my parents were like, "Oh, he's like a good kid. No one's gonna worry about him." But like that's
Yeah.
still a lot to put on someone.
It is. Yeah.
So your whole family sings.
Yeah.
Your entire family sings.
Yeah.
And your mom and dad were professional Cambodian singers.
Yes. They
so,
are.
like, were they like really popular in Cambodia?
So
Or professional is like they just know what they're doing.
like I would say I'm not really sure about their background in singing in Cambodia, but I know in like Washington State, I know they were popular. Like everywhere.
Wow.
So when I used to go with my mom and my dad and my sister and my aunt and my uncle to their gigs, like everyone knew who they were.
Wow.
And so they were very popular. And within like they used to perform at like the different Khmer New Year's and like South Park, White Center, Tacoma. They also performed a lot at like different restaurants,
Oh,
and
wow.
different clubs as well. And so like every now and then I was able to be backstage and like watch my mom or sister perform.
Yeah.
But then when I turned 21, I got to actually like go and like have fun and drink and actually experience it with them. But it's very hectic. It's a very hectic.
Yeah.
Just a musician's lifestyle is very hectic.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. And also just like being a kid, you can't. I feel like you don't really put like you don't understand a lot of things until like you are 21 and you're able to drink and
Yeah,
you know.
for sure. But I really loved it. And my family used to be able to be on the same lineup as some of the biggest Cambodian singers.
Really?
Yeah. And so like I remember watching my sister meeting her like her inspiration, her Cambodian
Oh my
inspiration, and she
God.
was having a freak out and I was like, go say hi to her. It was like when I was like I think I was like 9 or 10, and I was backstage with her, and there was a really popular Cambodian singer that she was able to book a gig with, and she was like doing her makeup, and my sister was like shaking. She was like, I don't want to say hi, I'm so nervous.
Oh,
But yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like when I was younger, I definitely feel like I took it for granted because I didn't realize the amount of star power that these Cambodian artists had. And then as I got older and I started to really dissect like traditional Cambodian music and really be more engulfed into my own culture, that's when I started to realize like, wow, there were so many amazing things that my family did when I was younger that I didn't even realize.
Well, you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting exposed to it. But like I
Exactly.
feel like that's like such a great way to at least get like sort of a glimpse of what it takes to be a musician and how
Oh, yeah.
grueling it is.
Oh, for sure.
So before that though, and I thought this was really interesting, you and your siblings were in like a dance group?
Yeah.
So like did you take dance classes growing up?
No. I
What?
didn't.
So
I
like
didn't. You know, it's one of those things where every now and then we're allowed to curse.
Of
right?
course.
Okay. You know, it was one of those things where it's like I have looked back. I don't even remember. I don't know. How do you know that, by the way?
Sarey Savy, we have to know.
Oh my God. Because like when I don't do interviews often. I think people who know me know that I don't do interviews often, or like do any kind of press. It's just not like me. Like I would rather let my work speak for itself.
Yeah.
But like I think I've brought up the dancing a couple times in the past, and then when I have, I'm like, fuck, why did I do that?
Because you're like, I don't want people to remember this.
But no, it was actually, honestly, it was like a spontaneous thing. Like it was really like my sister's idea, my oldest sister. So before she got pregnant, like her and my aunt had this brilliant idea to put me in like a dancing trio thing with my other sister and my cousin.
How old were you?
I was like 7.
Oh, you were a baby.
Yeah, I was a baby. And so we used to dance to like B2K, like
Hey.
like early 90s, like early 2000s, like music. And then we would go to like the same restaurants that my family would perform at, and they would like put in a little time slot for me and my sister and my cousin to perform. I don't think we even had a name. I think we were
Really?
just like,
just showed up.
yeah. And you know what's even more crazier is like, I don't even remember what they would put on the flyers because my aunt used to post flyers. I used to go with her. She's very like word of mouth, direct marketing type of person. And so she used to print out all these like flyers, and we would go around White Center and stuff and just post them. And that's how people heard about the shows and stuff.
That's the brunt work. That's how you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we did that for a couple, I want to say for like a year or two before my oldest sister got pregnant, because she was our choreographer.
Was it like hip hop?
Yeah, it was like hip hop, R&B, pop, and we used to get paid for it too.
That's what I was gonna say. You were making money doing that.
Yeah, we were making money doing that. Yeah, so like that was like my really like the real first taste of like entertainment business, and at 7, very young. Mm-hmm.
You guys must have been really good. You must have been very disciplined at 7 to do that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
Well, that's good. You know, you don't want to look back on that and think of like your sibling being like, "Get it right, Sarey." Like, I'd be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, luckily she was my oldest sister was a lot more patient with me, but they used to film. They used to film it. Like they would have.
Wow.
My family is huge on vlogging. Like I swear, yeah.
That's really cute.
Oh my god, there's so many videos. I don't want to know where they are, because then I'm gonna find a way to burn them. But
oh my god, cringe. Yeah.
I know, it's so cringe. Ew.
For sure. So to get into the singing, you said that High School Musical inspired you.
It did.
Did it inspire you to get into choir, or were you in choir at that point?
I was in choir already.
Okay.
Yeah, but
3rd grade. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Creepy.
I'm just like, wow, like this bitch really knows her shit. I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, High School Musical, girl. When like
same, I was in Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
You go ahead.
Such a fucking Corbin Blue, like. I think her name is Monique Coleman.
Yeah, I loved her.
Loved her. Vanessa Hudgens, Ashley Tisdale. I always felt like I really resonated with Sharpay.
I kind of did too, and it's funny when you look back on it.
Yeah.
She really isn't the villain.
She's not.
That you kind of thought she
No.
was when as a kid.
No, I think when I looking back at Sharpay, you know, I know a lot of people get that impression about her. What I get from her, and the reason why I'm so drawn to her character, is because she's just that bitch. Like, she knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I honestly think that what I learned from her is to not settle. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, obviously, I love the whole cast. I love everyone, but I just feel like she is a prime example of like, you keep going until you get what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially in the music industry, sometimes you have to set boundaries and just be a bitch, because people won't listen. People won't take you seriously unless you really put your foot down. And that's something I've always like, that's something I took out of High School Musical, but also like the singing, like that's what really inspired me to want to get into doing music. Because I felt like such an I feel like I'm a very animated person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like I've always imagined myself being in a film like that, just dancing, singing, because I mean, that's a lot of my background. Whether professionally or, you know, maybe not having formal training, like with the dancing piece at least, but you know, irregardless, I've always imagined myself doing something like that.
Yeah.
When I was younger.
Musical theater's like, it was the shit.
Oh,
it is the shit.
It is the shit. I was in musical theater for a couple years.
That was my next question, because I did it too. You can kind of tell by someone just based off their mannerisms and just how like bubbly you are. I'm like, that was a musical theater kid for sure. So yeah, you started choir in the 3rd grade, and very quickly your teacher was like, yo, this little boy has something going on.
Yeah, he did. God, I'm trying to remember his name. Mr. Wickham and Mr. Adsley, I think, because I had 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had one in 3rd grade, and then and then like the next year I had a different one, because there was a turnover at my elementary school. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure those are their names. But yeah, you know, one of them came up to me and was like, you have a really great voice, and like, you should really consider doing this for real. Wow. Yeah. And like, that's kind of when I pressed like my aunt. My aunt, honestly, after the whole dancing thing and my sister getting pregnant, after that stopped, you know, like my aunt and my oldest sister pushed me. They wanted me to continue to explore entertainment. You know? Yeah. And honestly, that's just something I did not want to do. Like, it was just for fun. It was just for fucking laughs and giggles and shit. But, you know, they were like, you just have the personality to do it. Like, they were like, you would be so easy to, like, it's just so easy for you to being in front of a camera is just natural, And so they were like,
Yeah.
you should really consider it. And I wanted to be a video game designer. Like I wanted to do
I
character
remember
animation.
that,
Yeah.
which is it's cool. It's
It is
really
so
cool.
cool,
It was
yeah.
just so opposite of what you're doing now.
I know. And it's also, I mean, it's just as competitive,
It's
you
very
know?
competitive.
It's very competitive. But I always wanted to do that because growing up, I was actually more of a nerd.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wasn't like fashion, modeling, acting, singing. That wasn't really my thing. But it became my thing after I considered it. And I was like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
try. But it's not something it's no expectations. And then,
It came
now
into this.
it came into this.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And growing up, kind of going back to being a gay Cambodian growing up in
Yeah.
White Center, you had, I mean, I can only imagine it was hard to find inspirations or
Yeah.
someone to look up to because you didn't find anyone that kind of resembled yourself.
No.
So was there anyone, I know JoJo was one of your inspirations, even though she's really white.
Yeah.
No offense.
No
She's
offense.
white. But I know you really you listened to her growing
Yeah,
up.
I did. I get really emotional talking about this because
Oh.
I just feel like most cisgender heterosexual men and women don't get it, especially white people. I feel like they don't understand the type of adversity and the importance of representation in media. I didn't have anybody I could watch on MTV or VH1 or Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. There was no such thing. And to my knowledge, there still isn't a such thing. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, I haven't seen anybody, do any kind of premiere. And so it was very, very difficult because I always questioned whether or not I even belonged in entertainment. And I'm glad that there is a sense of representation that is currently, that's currently trending right now. I mean, it shouldn't, I guess, trending for lack of better, terms, but I'm just glad that it's becoming, it's talked about more.
Yeah, it's being
And-
pushed to the forefront.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's still no Cambodian people really
Yeah.
doing it out there. I mean, there's a couple of people I met here who are Khmer artists, but they're not Khmer artists who are doing pop or house music or things that have
Yeah.
historically typically been white. And so it's just a very emotional thing because
Yeah.
I just feel like when I'm in the studio or when I'm at shows or when I'm just doing anything music related, I feel like I'm usually the only queer Cambodian one in the room. And it shouldn't be that way because I know there's so many other gay Cambodian artists, gay Asian artists who don't get to step foot
Yeah.
on the same stages that I do or get to sign the same record deals that I do. So usually I'm the first a lot of the times. And it's hard. It's very hard because
Yeah.
I feel like I don't get taken seriously in a lot of different rooms that I'm in,
Yeah, it's hard to be a pioneer. I
Yeah.
feel like random Lizzo, she didn't see anyone that was, her size and
Yeah.
black. And she talked about that a lot growing up, how much that she really needed that.
Yeah.
And it's hard being the first person to do it because there's probably a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, but you're
Yeah.
opening up so many people that have that urge deep inside that look like you or are queer.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, I can do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Do you want to take a minute?
It's hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
It
know?
is.
And so it's a constant conversation that it gets tiring to have with other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like I just feel like if you're not queer and if you're not Asian and queer, I just feel like it's a different type of hard work,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think people see things that are happening. I think people see the record deals and people see the Chop Suey show, people see things like that and they're like, wow. But I honestly think that it's one of those things where it's you just have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
You fight until people listen to you. And it's kind
Yeah.
of sad that I have to sometimes force people to listen to me, as opposed to the straight guy in the room that gets all the respect from the minute he walks in,
Yeah.
So I hate it. I hate it so much, but it's part of the work.
Yeah.
And I think my responsibility as a gay Asian artist is to like break that barrier down for other
Yeah.
gay Asian artists to be able to run.
It's
you know.
amazing. I appreciate you being so vulnerable.
Thank
You
you.
know, I know it's not easy, especially because, like, you know, I don't know what that's like, you know?
Yeah,
So I can only imagine, and I'm sorry that it has to be the case.
I appreciate that.
But we're going to get into the next topic,
Okay.
which was...
We
we're
go
out
from
on a
laughing to
transition.
emotional to laughing to
That's me every day. I'm an
Honestly?
emotional, crazy person.
Me too.
I don't want to say crazy, but I definitely feel like it. But so you were signed to a record label at 15.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
I know. So,
What was that like?
you know what's crazy? It's not what people think it is.
Yeah.
People think that
Gonna
signing
get
a,
into that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it was. I know we're gonna get into it, so I'll just say, it's an eye opener.
Yeah.
It's an eye opener for
Because
sure.
you have talked to me when we first really met.
Yeah.
You talked about like the pros and cons of
Yeah.
record labels.
Yeah.
And could you maybe list a couple? Like, what are like some
Yeah.
pros?
Well, I would say the pros are obviously you have a machine behind you, so the opportunities are virtually like unlimited.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the reputation of the label and who they know, it's always who they know. That's the most important thing. It's not really about talent, and you learn that very quickly being signed to a label because there's so many talented people, but there's not a lot of people who like get that break, you know? So I would say that another pro is having a team. So having people to advocate for you is so important because there's so many artists who are signed to a label. There's so many artists that you probably don't even know who are signed to like Atlantic and
Yeah.
Warner. And it's because like, it just goes to show like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, it's really like your work ethic, your team, who they know, who do you have on your side? That's so important. Sometimes you can have people who are there for purely transactional purposes. And so like, there's a lot of things that get done, but in the end, you're just being overworked and it feels very shallow, you know?
Yeah.
And then I guess another pro is like, I mean, you're able to get like those statistics that I think a lot of people focus on. So like the streaming numbers, like the sales, like the followers, like just your numbers, you're able to, those are more attainable, easily attainable things that you can get because of the fact that you have a budget and a team
Yeah.
and things like that. So I would say those are some of the pros that I can think of right now.
I just think it's like the way you explained it was funny to me because as you're explaining the pros, you almost made it into cons. And that makes me feel like you were really meant to be independent.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? I know it's a loaded question because there's so much that goes into
Yeah.
that.
I think it's complex. I don't have a straight answer for that. I think there's layers to it. I think that I'm meant to be creatively free. I think also that I'm meant to make my own decisions and have a say in everything that I do. However, I don't think I'm meant to do it alone. So I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So I would say that. So it's a little bit, it's about finding a balance. It's really about finding a balance. I enjoy being an independent artist right now, but knowing myself, that could change. You know?
Yeah.
So, but I've learned that I thrive a lot more when I'm an indie artist though. I thrive
Yeah.
so much more.
It's
Yeah.
becoming more attainable to do that
Oh,
with
yeah.
just social media and streaming. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
landscape is so different now and it's great because you get to
Yeah.
find so much music that is not on the radio or that isn't on Billboard.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, through Spotify. Thank God, you know.
Exactly. And I just think it depends on your goals. And, you know, my goals are different than everybody else's and the crew that I hang out with. We all have different
Yeah.
goals. So I think it just really depends. Yeah.
So the beauty of being signed
Yeah.
and then you eventually got dropped from the label.
I did.
How old were you then?
I was still 15.
Oh,
Yeah. So I got dropped like within the year. And that's like, That's one of those things where it's like
It's like the rug getting ripped out from under you.
You sign to a label and the label tells you they have all these plans for you, and they make a lot of promises, and sometimes they don't deliver,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're kind of stuck trying to figure out, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
I can't do nothing because I'm at the mercy of your permission to do shit,
Contractual
Yeah.
stuff.
So that's a big con, because then you're just
Yeah.
pulling your hair and you can't do nothing. You have to wait for some white guy to like tell you, okay, you can do this, you can do that now, so it sucks. It definitely sucks, but or it did suck,
But
that
at
was years ago.
15 too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's brutal.
My heart was broken.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was so young. And I, at the time I didn't know any better. And I thought that it was the end, and that wasn't the case. And so it was such a learning experience though. Like
Yeah.
that propelled me to be able to do other things with other labels and learn so much on my own. So
Yeah, it seems like it, because I remember we were talking and you had a broad success kind of later. I don't know if it was then or a little bit later in your career, but you had success in Italy, like Europe areas.
Years later.
Which is so awesome and crazy.
Thank you.
I mean, oh my gosh. Did you ever think like maybe I should move to Europe?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Honestly,
fuck
I
yeah.
want to in general, but
shit, I need to get my passport and get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? I don't even have my passport yet, but I have thought of it. I was like, I should, because I'm like, I feel like there's a reason why things happen. Genuinely, I also believe in divine timing. So I'm like, maybe all of those experiences were like preparing me for what was to come, and I wasn't ready yet. But the things that did happen and getting dropped and all those things, maybe those things were meant to happen to like give myself thick skin and also be able to work with people that I wouldn't have, to be able to really understand how the music business works and how to navigate, especially as a younger person at the time, until the things in Europe happened. So
yeah, I feel like that is really true.
Yeah.
I think at the time you're like, why is this happening to me? This is what I want.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for it. And I think maybe going through that at a young age kind of gave you a spotlight that most people don't have until they're in like their 20s.
Exactly. So I'm grateful. Even though like things didn't work out, just really thankful.
Yeah. So you don't like being put in a box, but you do a bunch of different music.
Yeah.
You've done EDM, pop, and R&B.
Yeah.
Is there a genre that you like to do? Like the most?
The most?
Yeah, or you're really open to everything.
I really am open to everything, but I would say I grew up on R&B. So R&B will always be home base for me. Timbaland, Aaliyah, Missy Elliott, Justin Timberlake, like phenomenal, amazing Black artists have always inspired me from the beginning. And so, but I'm more known for pop and house music for sure. Like that's what people know
that was
me
like
for.
your international success was definitely more EDM, which is, it was so crazy going through your whole like Spotify discography, just the difference and just I feel like you really have honed in on a genre that I feel like you fit into so well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
because it's definitely, it's kind of a crazy path. Like if you go down the discography, like just seeing like how the music has changed and like even how my branding has changed.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm starting to become and go into this more authentic version of myself that I think I've always craved, that I wasn't able to be when I was working with labels and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and also you're in your like you were about the same age. So like I really didn't even know what I really wanted to do or figure out myself until probably the last 2 years. So it takes a lot of time to find your mold. But that's good that you tried different things, and I mean it paid off. You got a broad success, and you have a really the Serenaders.
I love
dedicated
the Serenaders. I love them so much. My babies. Mwah.
We love you.
Thank you.
So when you went independent, what was like your biggest fear, or like what was something about it that was daunting?
Well, first of all, I knew I was gonna leave. I knew I was gonna leave the label, and I was preparing for that.
Okay.
And I honestly, I didn't have a plan, and that was my biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
Being with a label, after the whole European thing, and going from charting, finally,
It's
like,
like the
right,
highest high.
yeah, like it took me, it took me years. It took me like a whole decade before I even got to that point of like my song was playing on the radio and shit like that. So
Yeah.
like that's another thing I just want people to like understand is like all of these things that are happening for me, like it's definitely not overnight. Like it took a
Yeah.
good 9, 10 years before I even got to that point. And I thought about quitting music when it happened, but when I signed with that label and then we started charting and we started getting played on the radio and shit like that started to happen, at one point I was like, okay, well, I definitely don't want to do this forever. Like, I don't want to just continue to do house music forever and ever. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to do R&B. And there were a couple of conversations I had with the label, and the label was not backing it. And they were like, we don't want that for you. That's not gonna happen. And so it was a very like, okay, I'm obviously dealing with bureaucracy again
Mm-hmm.
and learning my lesson from when I was 15. I'm not putting up with that shit. So
Yeah.
I was like, just please just let me go. Like
Wow.
it's,
Yeah.
we were together for a good, like we were working towards signing an album deal together. We had done single deals together, and so I was with them, and I operated as like it was almost like I was signed, but I wasn't necessarily attached to them, but I gave them all of my
Mm.
time because we were working towards doing an album.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were building that relationship, and there were so many conversations that we had, and they told me I would be able to explore other genres. And so I stuck with them for like 3 years. And after
Yeah.
the third year, I was like, I want to leave. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do R&B. And they basically, told me I would be nothing without them, and
Oh my
that I'm
God.
not gonna be successful in R&B because like I've built all this success doing house music. And so I was like, I need a plan. And so eventually,
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with the guys. Shout out to King Dow and Emmanuel Brown. And what was expensive, the first song that we did,
Oh
it
my
turned
God, this is
into
so funny. I was really about, this is what I was about to transition to was KSC, but no, keep going. I love this.
So, it was that. And then, at first, they didn't want to do like a full project. And so it took some
Mm.
convincing. But we did expensive, first. And that was like the first, like that was kind of the first kind of single we did together. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, like, I loved the chemistry that we had together. And I didn't necessarily have a plan. But I was like, I need to release music. Like, I can't be one of those artists where it's like, okay, I got dropped and then you don't hear from me for like a year or two or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then eventually we were able to do KSE, and then we like a month after I left the label, we put out You Fake AF, and then we got featured on like Fresh Finds R&B on
So
Spotify and stuff. So I
crazy.
was like, that's when I knew like I'm definitely meant to do R&B. Like I don't know why I questioned myself, but that's what being with a label does. Like,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
if like you're being told by these big execs you're not going to be anything without us, it's hard to not believe that, because
Yeah.
they're experienced. But
Yeah.
I feel like being in KSC, did you feel like you kind of fell in love with making music all over again?
Yes. Like I definitely felt like that newfound passion and fire that I didn't have before. And it sucks because I don't want to lie to people.
Yeah.
Doing house music, I love house music. Like, let me just get that straight. But there were so many times where I basically had to like, I wouldn't say lie, but I would say I would just have to get on camera and be like, I'm really excited about this. When deep down I'm like, I don't want to do this. You
Putting on a
know?
front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely putting up a front a lot when I was with the label. And like, so I put my heart and soul into everything that I did when I was with the label, but like in the end, like there were definitely some songs that I'm just why are we leading with this?
Mm,
Like this song
yeah.
is just so stupid. Like I don't want to lead with this, but like they put me with multi-platinum producers. They were like, we know what we're doing, and da da da. And so sometimes when I look back at some of those songs, I'm like, why the fuck did we put this out? Like, this is really
Yeah.
not who I am at all.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was definitely forced, and so I had to find like the positives and use that to motivate myself to get through promoting and like releasing some of those songs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I mean, learning experience.
Yeah, it's all
Learn
learning
from it.
experience, and I feel
Yeah.
like good things do take time.
Yeah.
This isn't an overnight thing. You've been
Yeah.
doing this for so
So
long.
long.
So
Yeah.
it's just super cool to just see you come into your own and find happiness again, and you call the shots because you know
Yeah.
what's best for you and what makes you happy.
Exactly.
So just to off track a little bit, I really am like fascinated by your vocal range. And I'm
Stop.
curious because you do a lot of the whistle notes. And I sing, I was in choir, I do radio, so I have to
Oh.
really research my voice and like learn like what helps it, what doesn't.
Yeah.
So what helps you get those whistle notes? Are you like taking a shower before 'em with the steam up? Are you like down in honey? Like
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I don't know if they're considered whistle notes technically, like on a technical term.
you
But
get up there.
I get up there.
Let's just say
I do.
you get up there.
Honestly, I don't even know where the fuck it comes from, girl. Like it's like hidden somewhere in here. But
Probably bring it more through your nasal.
yeah, which probably isn't the best technique, but honestly, it really just stems from like I do kind of the typical routine of a singer, like really just drinking warm tea, honey. And there's
Yeah.
also Mosea, shout out to Mosea. She put me onto something called Voice 37, Voice 39. It's I don't know.
It's in the 30s.
Yeah, something like that. Y'all should look it up because it has saved my life. It's literally like it's basically like a vocal serum that like loosens up your vocal cords, and it also removes like mucus. And so when that happens, like I hit those notes like
Ooh.
so like at ease, you know? But it's also training. Like it's also I don't have something that people don't believe about me is I actually don't have professional vocal training. I learned from like watching and mimicking like High School Musical and JoJo. Like I literally used to like turn on the radio and like copy what singers would do, riffs and runs.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like you have to take it slow. So like, you know, you start in a certain range and you kind of build that up. And
Mhm.
also breaking down riffs is heavily important. So like, you know, a lot of people like to shoot for the stars when it comes to singing when they learn how to sing, but it's like you have to break like each note of what that riff is. And then you kind of, you know, you go faster and faster and you speed it up. And that's kind of how I learned. But, you know, in addition to that, it's also a lot of like some of the experiences I've had like watching my sister sing and my family sing and
Yeah.
having them teach me as well. But yeah, it's really just mimicking other singers.
Yeah, I feel like that's art. All
Yeah.
arts is just you imitate
Yeah.
until eventually you figure out your own
Yeah.
style.
But there's also a guy, shout out to Eric Arsenault. There's a lot of people I'm going to give a shout out to.
Keep going.
But
Keep hitting
he's
them.
an amazing vocal coach based out of New York. And
Ah.
we've conversed in the past. Like he's watched me since I was like when I auditioned for America's Got Talent and everything when I was like 12. But like he has been there and like watched me and has like even provided feedback sometimes. But he also has videos of him doing like the same vocal warm-ups that he teaches his students. And like he's like helped me navigate that and like has given me vocal warm-ups to do. And so that's like a thing that I've taken on. So like I do his vocal warm-ups and they're actually available on YouTube if you want to go
I
watch
love
them.
that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like whatever, like I think it's like professional vocal warm-ups and it's like a 5-part series. If you watch that under Eric Arsenault, I don't want to mess up his name.
We can
yeah,
tag it.
yeah, exactly. Like if you watch those warm-ups, those are literally the same warm-ups I do before a show and everything.
Wow.
So same thing, and it's
Yeah.
free. So like
Might as
yeah.
well. You don't have to pay like a bunch of money for a vocal coach.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have that direct connection to him as well.
Yeah,
like, that's a blessing.
getting that feedback too is so important.
So important.
You know, because
Yeah.
that's the one thing that video tutorials don't teach you is that they're not there to check if you're doing it right.
Exactly.
So, this new era you're stepping into,
Yes.
you had a whole thing
Mm-hmm.
set up,
I did.
ready to go,
Yeah,
and then you hit the serenaders with the news
I did.
that you're stopping it.
I'm stopping it. Yeah.
Is that how you don't have to get into it if it's too specific,
No,
but I
it's
guess
okay.
I'm just trying to like was it hard to back out of everything after everything had kind of been planned?
God, fuck yeah. Like anybody who knows me knows that I'm a fucking workaholic. And I'm always on top of my social media game. I'm always posting. I'm always in the studio. I'm always doing shit. You know what I mean? And what's kind of funny is when I was planning the I'm Still Healing EP, which is available now. So make sure you go by and stream it. But when I was doing that, like in the middle, I want to say like after Keontae and I released Lonely, I love you, Keontae. Um, I was already planning the next thing. So it had been months and months and months in the making already. I already came up with like a concept. I already knew what I was doing. And then life happened. And then I started exiting out of a 9-year relationship, and I had to figure shit out. I just had to find my footing, and I was continuing for months, and it just didn't. There was a part of me where it just didn't feel like it was right, and it was the wrong
Yeah.
time, and that I should be focusing on what I'm gonna do. Like I was like I just engulfed my world around somebody else. And so I was like, I had to learn how to go back to being independent and go back to like finding that confidence again because I lost that after
Yeah.
being in this relationship for so long.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, I'm going to scrap everything because the music just didn't feel relevant anymore. And I'm still going with the same era, same ideas, but I think I'm going to approach it very differently than
Yeah.
what the original plan was because, I wanted to continue to incorporate mental health and things like that. But I think that what I'm learning is that I don't necessarily want to make it all about mental health anymore. I think that I'm stepping into like, I want to find like the confident and like sexy and like
Yeah.
horny.
I get it.
I want to find that part of myself again because that's always been who I am. I just, out of respect for him,
Yeah.
I just didn't explore the other facets of myself, and I felt like I was holding back for a long time. But I don't have to do that anymore. And so
Yeah,
that's why I
good.
decided that's why I did that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start fresh. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go in and record music that feels empowering as like a gay man who's also sexual.
Finally out of being tied down.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
you
And
know?
not feeling like I have to be afraid of singing about whatever I want because, and just being free. Just being free,
Yeah.
and not feeling like I have to have those conversations with somebody else and have to explain myself and then, that's just not healthy. That's not healthy at
you
all.
can't stifle yourself for someone
Exactly.
else's comfort.
Exactly.
And I'm really happy that you're able to get out of that because I feel like I'm Still Healing is a very, very, very vulnerable project.
Oh,
It's like the
thank
first
you.
word that came to my mind. And I
Yeah.
do want to say, I thought it was funny that people didn't realize you dyed your hair blue to match the theme. Because I got that right from the get-go.
Thank
I got that
you.
right from the get-go.
Thank you. She fucking gets it. She gets it. I was like, is nobody gonna like, nobody's gonna.
People are like, are you going through a crisis? I'm like, maybe, but it's not because of that.
Yeah. No, for
I thought
sure.
that was so funny. It was like, it's so obvious.
Damn.
But some people just don't see that. So
That shit cost me like $400
I was about
too.
to say,
Fuck.
it's like your hair was black, so you gotta like bleach that shit. You gotta put the color on it,
Oh, that
and then it
shit,
gets
yeah.
dry, and you gotta like heal it.
Bitch,
I know.
we had to double bleach my shit. That shit hurt too. That shit was
It
burning.
burns the scalp. I get
Oh,
that.
my God.
So Lonely was your Lonely was your first music video in about 10 years.
It was my first like solo music
Solo
video.
music video.
Yeah.
First of all, loved it. I love Eastern Washington.
Thank you.
Love the dance moves. I love that you got Keontae to dance.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. And
Thank you.
I just love this project. I think the song. Well, I guess before that, are there going to be any other music videos we can expect from this EP?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
So Q, Quentin
Love
Peters.
you.
Love Q, who shot the Lonely music video. I was like, Quentin, I don't know if I want to do a music video for Call Me When You Sober Up because I'm entering the new era, But he was like, you should do it. Like, the fans deserve it. And, he was like, look at it as closing the book with your relationship that you're exiting. And he was like, it's an opportunity for you to, like, address that. because a lot of
Yeah.
people have been in my DMs asking if me and the other person are together,
Oh my God, is it like
you know.
TMZ over here? Like,
I know.
Jesus, like, leave me
Literally,
alone.
literally, like people still ask me. Like, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, he was like, just like for your own mental health. And so that's people stop bothering you, like do that through the art. So he was like, let's shoot
Yeah.
this music video and let's show the people kind of what happened and your story, because right now there's a handful of people who think that I'm the reason why things ended and that I'm a horrible person, all those things. With every relationship, when you
It's never
break up,
amicable.
yeah, there's never hearts definitely don't break down the middle. So like
Mm.
so but he's like, like what you did, and like what you have tried to, that you tried to make things work, and that you tried your best. And so he was like, I think that this is an opportunity for you to like be like, okay, like here's Call Me When You Sober Up, like here's that music
Yeah.
video, and like really dig deep onto like what happened and why things
Yeah.
are the way that they are. So I'm excited about that. But he wants
Yeah.
to still shoot it, and I'm just like, no,
I
Quentin.
think you should, because I'll just be honest, just to be a little bit vulnerable with myself. I really love that song. That's my favorite song because I have been in a relationship with someone that was an addict.
Yeah.
I don't want to cry,
I don't want to
but
cry either. You're gonna
I,
make me cry.
it's a very, not anyone, not every, unless you're in it, you don't understand it, is what I
Yeah.
want to say. Because you
Mhm.
love someone so much and you see the good in them and
Yeah.
what they could be if they just got help. But
Yeah.
it's one of those hard things in life where I've told it's one of those hard things in life where you either can keep hurting yourself by keeping this person sane, or you
Yeah.
have to walk away.
Yeah.
And walking away is so hard.
It's so hard.
It took me here, let me
Oh my
it
God.
took me literally like years when I was in a relationship that was toxic and he was into
God.
drugs. It took me, I was even thinking about him in the relationship following it. So when I
Yeah,
heard
I
that,
know.
you just expressed it in such a way that I relate to and that I'm sure a lot of people relate to.
Yeah.
So I just want to, woo!
It's
Oh
hard.
my God! Looking at you makes me cry. You crying, but it's just I
Oh
just
my
really
God.
wanted to
Whew.
just thank you for your vulnerability.
Thank you.
And thank you for being so open.
It's
Because
hard.
it
Yeah.
really is healing for you, but it's healing for a lot of people.
Thank you. There were so many people who shared stories about, someone that they love who struggles with an addiction, not even just alcohol. And so I'm so happy to hear about that. And, there's something that I've posted consistently on my story before, where it's like you have to look at people for who they are right now. And you have to learn how to accept that or walk away. You can't go into any relationship, whether it's romantic or not, with the impression of like there's a lot of potential for this person to change. You can't change people.
You can't.
People have to change. People have to want to change. And for the longest time, and also wanting someone to change is just toxic behavior, And so it took months of therapy for me to recognize that within myself, having that bias of like, there's someone I love who struggles with alcohol, and me trying to push them to get help instead of just being patient with them, waiting until they're ready. But it's like sometimes by the time you're ready, maybe the other person isn't.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
And so that's why Call Me When You're Sober is also one of my favorite songs. And I think it's relevant, like, for a lot of people. I think there's so many people out there who are struggling to get out of a relationship because they care so much. Even as I'm like moving on and I'm starting to talk to other men, I still think about certain people in my life that I love so much who I know are like struggling in every aspect, but I can't, it sounds harsh, but I can't care, because if I do, then I'm going to fall back into that, trap of like making my world about them instead of myself.
Yeah.
So, if there's people who are going through that right now, like, I know it's really hard, but you have to find a way to set boundaries and cut ties. It's going to feel hard. And I think, for you and for me, since we've both experienced that, I think it's one of those things where when you finally do it, you don't think of like what if in a negative way, but you start to think of the possibilities of like what if like my happiness is on the other side just waiting for me,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's one of those things you don't know unless you take that jump.
Exactly.
But it's one of those things too where if they can't get their shit together,
Yeah.
you gotta walk away and
You
you gotta
have
protect
to.
your peace. I
You
feel like that's
do.
something that you learn a lot growing up is there's a lot of bullshit we gotta deal with being
Oh yeah.
adults. And
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks because you worry about how they're gonna handle it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I learned this in therapy. It's okay to be selfish in life.
Yeah, it is.
And that was something that always stuck with me because I just feel like it's true, you
It
know,
is.
and it's the things that are right for you aren't always easy to accomplish.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I want to talk to in my life that struggle with alcohol, but like I have to love myself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
so true.
love myself and get dick.
Hell yeah. That is the motto. So
What a transition.
I know. So speaking of relationships, I
Yes.
feel like you have found your core music people. It's Manuel,
Yes.
it's King, Mosea, and Keontae. I feel like that's your
Love
core.
them.
So
My babies.
how important is a genuine connection to you in making music?
So fucking important. Being with labels, transactional shit. I'm not with that. I have to have a sense of like we gotta like I'm the type of bitch where before I even do music with somebody, I have to have coffee or lunch or something
Yeah.
with them because I want to make music with people that I feel like even our personalities mesh because I feel like the fans aren't stupid. Like I feel like the fans know when something feels real, you know? Just imagine me doing a song with like some like if I did like a rock song and like I did it with some guy that everyone has never seen me hang out with, never spoken to, I never even talk about that person. Like people would be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it's like I just
Yeah.
put it out and that's it. Like you don't see the person or anything. So I think it's incredibly important. A lot of people don't like to meet up, unfortunately, which is so stupid to me because I'm like, well, then I guess we're not doing music together because that's just not how I roll. Like we
Yeah.
have to have, unless it's a label thing, because with labels thing, like you can't really control that. Like you
Yeah.
have people telling you what to do. But since I get to make those decisions, I'm not one to just be like, let's just make music just to make music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having that relationship with Keontae and Mosea and King Dow and Emmanuel Brown, where we're like very vulnerable with each other, like
Yeah.
that's what makes the music so much better. Like because we're able to share those stories with each other, and then we get to the studio and we're like going back and forth about shit that we've been through. If I go to the
Wow.
studio with someone who I don't know anything about and we're talking about something vulnerable, it's like, are we going to really share? Like, are we really going to dig deep or are we going to be more surface level? And I'm just not a surface level type of bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a Pisces. So everything that I do
Yeah.
has to be deep, you
Yeah.
know?
I feel like there's very intricate steps in your music and it's
Yes.
very emotion based. And I'm not saying that in a negative way at all. I
No, no,
think
no.
that's, and I mean, I've seen it whenever I've hung out with you guys and went to Emmanuel's listening party. Like, it just
Yeah.
seems like when you guys go in there, it's like you don't even need to pay for therapy at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
You don't.
you
The
know?
engineer is your therapist, you know?
yeah.
He's listening to everything. So yeah, you know, luckily I have a great group of people, you know,
Yeah,
around
you
me. So
do.
I'm so thankful for them. And you've met them and they love you.
Yeah.
They love you
I
so
love
much.
them. You guys are just like, you guys have just took me under your wing and so nice. And
Of course.
kind of going into my next thing was just really quick. I wanted to talk about your Face the Music podcast.
Yes.
Because, and I'm trying to say this in a way that I'm not trying to come off offensive at all, but I think podcasting has become, and I'm saying this while I have a fucking podcast, podcasting has become very oversaturated. It
Yes.
is. People will just get a roadcaster, turn on a mic, and then they think that what they
Yeah.
say is important.
Exactly.
But I feel like what is different about your guys' podcast is that you have a straight black man and a gay Cambodian man
Yeah.
talking about this. And it's really
Crazy.
cool to hear two different perspectives, but it's also really, it makes me happy how accepted you've been in these people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just think that is just so special. And I want to, really quick. You wear your headphones really funny.
Everyone makes fun of how I wear my
Is it
headphones.
because of your hair?
Hair.
Okay.
Hair.
We'll put a picture here.
Everyone, literally, people need to fuck off with the way that I wear my fucking headphones. Because even the fans get on my ass. I love y'all, but please leave me the fuck alone. Let me wear my headphones the way that I feel like best represents me. Like,
Hell yeah. I get
you
it.
know, my girlfriend Diana is just like, when Emmanuel brought that up one time in a FaceTime, he was like, yeah, it looks so fucking stupid. And like, Diana is like, it's so he doesn't mess up his hair. And I'm like, period.
That's what I thought too, because I'll do that too, where I'm like, I'm at work and I like have my headphones here, like have one just like holding it like that, because I don't want to mess up the hair.
Leave me alone. Now you know why.
They don't
Leave me
get
alone.
it. That's the thing is they just don't get it.
You just don't get it.
So don't comment if you don't get it, bitch.
I know that's right, bitch.
Can we expect a season 2?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, good.
We've already started filming it.
Yes?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. We're gonna have even more exciting guests, and you know, we really want to bring in like shakers and movers because we really
Ooh.
want to provide. We really want other artists and musicians who are trying to get their foot in the door and fans to understand how booking gigs and things like that work. And so we're really hoping to like be able to provide that knowledge, and then, you know, season 3. And start talking about it, start figuring it out.
Is it season 2?
Season 2,
Oh.
yeah, because we're about to wrap up pretty soon.
Oh, you're almost
So
done.
yeah, and we're gonna talk about season 3. So
You're
we're
like
definitely
2 seasons ahead already.
yeah. I mean, we're definitely in it for the long run. We're not
Good.
here to be like one season you don't hear from us again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emmanuel and I, we're very good. We have like crazy work ethic.
You do.
So-
You both are very consistent, and I feel like consistency is really goal in this industry because a lot of people will start a podcast, have this whole idea, and then they promote it, and then they release maybe 1 or 2 episodes. You don't hear from them again. It's like that's kind of
Yeah.
embarrassing. No offense.
No, it definitely is embarrassing, but also, you know, it's like, yeah, we definitely don't want this. We're very committed. We're very committed to the podcast game. We're committed in everything that we do, and ultimately, we just want to help. We just want to help people.
Yeah.
And we thought the podcast would be the best way to do that in a way that's flexible with our schedule as well, you know?
It is. You guys
Yeah.
talk about stuff that a lot of people don't have knowledge on, like record labels, doing business
Yes.
deals. There's a lot that you can learn from it, so check it out on
Check
YouTube.
it out.
YouTube original.
Period.
So before we get into the last segment, I don't know where I heard this when I was doing your research because I've just done a lot, but did you talk about making a country song?
Yes.
And were you serious about it?
I actually did. Yeah, I did.
Wait, weren't you on Instagram the other day singing a lot of country songs? Or
I was.
I loved it.
Thank you.
I was like eating it up, watching it in my bed. I'm like, yes, this is so good.
Yes. A fun fact about me that people don't know, I actually like country music.
It's good.
I didn't grow up listening to much of it. But one of my best friends growing up was white. And so like his family used to
Yeah.
listen to a lot of country music. But
Mhm.
I do enjoy country music, and I have done a couple of country songs. They're just not out yet.
Okay,
So yeah, they're country, but the way that I sing everything, the crew makes fun of me because they're like, it doesn't matter what genre you go in, you make everything sound R&B. So it's definitely more country, but it's actually about a childhood friend.
Oh,
So
that's really
yeah.
cool.
So I'm very excited about that, you know. But I did the song like a year or 2 ago. But I'm also
It's in the
working on other.
vault.
Yeah, it's in the vault. But I'm also working on other country music.
Are
Like
you about
it's
to
kind of
pull
crazy.
a Beyonce? She just dropped her country album like last night.
I know. Yes, which by the way, I love. Like all
Me
the
too.
songs I've heard from her from that country album so far, like I love it. And
Yeah.
so I definitely like I was already thinking about it was an experiment, you know? When I do music, I experiment. I don't release everything. So like
Yeah.
it's more so like I'm just fucking around. But then there are some songs where I'm just like, I didn't realize that I sounded like I could do this, you know? And country is one of those things where I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I would sound as good as I thought I would, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, country music is definitely there in the vault.
Yeah.
So-
And all that matters is that you try and you experiment.
Yeah.
That's probably how you got into R&B too, was dabbling with different
Dabbling.
genres, you know, and seeing
Yeah.
what you like.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that rock music, I've dabbled in so many. They're just
Hell
not out, but
yeah.
they will come out. They will.
We're ready. So before we get into the last segment,
Mhm.
I remember you were saying that you are scared to do an album.
I am.
Why?
I'm fucking terrified, Natalie.
Why you did an EP that's like half of an album?
I know, but here's the thing: you get one chance to make a good impression on people.
For sure.
One chance. I don't want to fuck that up, you know? And so I feel like when it comes to making an album, I just feel like if I'm gonna do this, like it needs to be, I cannot second guess anything that's on that album, from the visuals to the music. So,
okay.
but I've thought about it more seriously, and so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a quick song association.
Oh
Get out
God.
of here. So I'm gonna name a theme, and then you
Okay.
just tell me what song on your discography that you think would fit that theme, so people can go to it when they need that
Oh,
vibe. That
okay.
makes sense. So first one, you want to gas yourself up.
Want to gas myself up? I deserve better.
love that
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah, I deserve better. That song.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
Second one, I hate him.
Oh, I hate him. Bitch, you better be alone. Cause I'm restless.
Hey,
But
hey.
I'm I don't even know the lyrics to my own songs.
It's okay.
Well, whatever. Bitch, you better be alone.
This part like always kind of trips people up. You need to clear your head, go on a drive. It's a rainy day. What you whipping on?
What am I? In my own discography?
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, baby, you and I go back like 90s R&B.
Love
That song for
one.
sure.
So good.
Thank you.
Get fucked up too.
Get fucked up to?
Like drinking.
Drinking. Ooh. I'm that bitch. Look at my fit. How's the grip to look like this? Don't Stop remix with Emmanuel Brown and Keontae.
I love that you're
song.
singing these too. I love that.
Thank you.
And then positivity.
Positivity? Positivity? Have I been positive at all with any of my songs? That I would say positivity. Why can't I think of anything? Positivity? I guess I would say
It's hard to remember all the songs.
yeah. I guess I would say wow, why can't I think of this? That's really crazy. I can't think of Slow Motion. There's a song I have. Slow Motion. Slow Motion. That's a really good song.
Oh
yeah.
my god. Well, I remember listening to those songs too.
Yeah?
Because I'll listen to them and be like, I wonder what I would put. But that kind of wraps up this episode. Do you have something you want to say to your serenaders? We got a camera there. You can tell them where to find you, where to stream you,
Yeah, you can
or
buy
leave a message.
Yeah, you can buy, for those of you who haven't heard of me, you can buy and stream my music by looking up Sarey Savy. That's spelled Sarey Savy. I don't know if we can put like a
Well,
thing.
I'll put it there. Don't worry, I got you.
So there's that. And for all the serenaders, thank you so much for being so patient with me. There's a lot of things that I'm working on, and be prepared because it'll be like a very drastic change that's more flirtatious and sexy. I'm going to be showing my body a lot more. So I'm very excited
We're ready to
about
see
that.
it.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's definitely the way that I like to describe the new music and the visuals that's coming up is like, it's definitely like my horny era. It's very
Your
sexy.
sexual awakening era.
Sexually awakening. That's a good one.
think
I say
that's-
horny just to be more blunt.
No, for sure. It gets to the point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sarey, for coming
you
in.
for
This
having
was
me.
amazing. So that 206 Sound. I'm Natalie Melendez. We'll see you next time.